my another chair, Ruben, my assistant chair, Jasmine, and David. We would like to express our sincere welcome to all participating in this committee. And first of all, this committee is a special committee, it's a crisis committee, so we have some revision on the rules of procedure. And I'm going to explain briefly. But first, can you go onto this website, vote.tcymun.com. You will enter into the web page, and David, can you project it, that web page on the screen? This is a voting system that we're going to use. And remember, one country, you only have to log in with one account. Okay, so you can decide who is going to operate this voting system. All right? And in this, you are going to a login page. So simply type your country's name. And this is the account. And the password is 123. Okay. Remember, when you log in, change the password. All right. Alright, so this is the country name that you can enter. So find your country name and enter your country name and type in the password 123. Okay. Anyone has any problem?
Fail to log in.
Fail to log in. Okay, what's your country's name?
European Union.
Yeah, European Union. Can you type 123?
It says that the email address is badly organized.
I can help reset the password. So your country is European Union, correct?
Alright. So is any other delegate has any problem?
Can you try again, European Union? Thank you.
Yes. Is that problem? New Zealand. Okay. New Zealand.
Sorry, which country are you? Oh, New Zealand. Okay.
Right, so with, yes, Hello Korea. Oh, same problem.
Yeah.
Oh, same problem.
Sorry, which country are you?
Republic of Korea and the United States.
Okay. And sorry, European Union and New Zealand, have you guys logged in to the system yet?
Still failed to log in.
Okay, so we will fix all these technical problems soon. Yes, same problem. All right, yeah, we're fixing. Yeah, I think all of you have the same problem. Okay, so we will call someone to help us. But first, we're going to introduce some of the rules of procedure. All right, so bear with me. So anyone who has not participated in Multi-United Nations Conference before? Okay. All right. Let's see. All right, so I'm going to briefly go through the rules of procedure. So first, we're going to conduct a roll call. All right. So we'll call on your country's name in accordance with alphabetical order. Okay. So when your country's name is called upon, please answer present. Okay. Please answer present. And then we're going to move on to the general debate. Okay, at this time, the general speakers list will establish, and the chair will ask any country wishing to make a speech to raise your placards. So as you can see on your table, you will have the placard with your country's name on it. Simply raise the placards so the chair can recognize you onto the speakers list. Right? And to change the debate methods, you can raise motions. So as you can see in the rules of procedure I sent you via welcome email, you will see that there are numerous motions, including moderated caucus and unmoderated caucus. Okay, these are the two most commonly seen motions. So for the moderated caucus, it means that we're going to focus on the specific subtopic and going to establish another speakers list called the secondary speakers list. Okay, and as for the unmoderated caucus, basically delegate can freely move around to form block to discuss with other delegates. Yeah, to form like a group discussion, right? And we also have a special procedure called branch caucus. So for branch caucus, this delegate with same positions can get together to discuss your positional aspects toward this issue. Right? Any problems? Any questions? All right. So after the branch caucus, the chair will entertain a 5 minutes in the country discussion to synchronize your what you have discussed during the branch caucus. Okay, and that motion can be raised when the floor is open. All right, any further questions? 好，这边有任何人有问题吗？如果听不懂的话，可以举手，我会试着用中文来跟你解释。All right. Okay, and we also have another special procedure called the communique. Communique is an open declaration that a country can issue at any time. You can voluntarily issue a communique, or under the chair's request. Usually after a crisis, the chair will ask the stakeholders to issue a communique. And you can send to the chair via email, okay, or via other methods. The chair will encourage you to use email, all right? Any questions? Yes?
Which email?
Oh, our email is ARFT.
Sorry, we can't see that.
Oh, you can see that?
Basically the email that you got, the background guides, and also where you submitted your position paper.
Yeah, welcome later, okay? All right, any further question? Okay. All right, so, and in this committee, we do not have draft resolution. We call instead draft agreement. And the difference is that in draft agreement, it has to pass with consensus. So every single country had to agree or not, at least not disagree. You can abstain. Okay. And abstain if other countries all agree, you still can pass that agreement. Alright, so that's why we don't have present or voting during roll call. You only require to answer present. Okay. Any further question? Yes, anyone? All right, so for the general debate, again, a review, we have moderated caucus. Unmoderated caucus. And branch caucus. And also we have another special procedure called toward the table. And it's from French, so but we pronounce it in English way, so it's toward the table. So in this procedure, we're going to recognize all of the country in accordance with alphabetical order, following the country who raised this motion. Okay, if this motion passes. Okay, so for example, like if Australia raises motion, then you will follow by Brunei, and etc. Okay, and every country has to get out onto the stage to conduct speech. Okay, yes.
So is this just one country representative, or all three of us?
You can decide. You can all three of you go down to the podium, but you only have one microphone. Okay, you can speak at the same time, so you can share the time among your country. All right. Any other questions? All right. And after general debate, usually general debate, we're going to introduce a document called draft agreement, right? And the draft agreement deadline is tomorrow. Draft agreement deadline is tomorrow 1:30 p.m. 1:30 p.m. And again, you have to send it to by email to our email address. Okay, and the chair will highly encourage you to work on only one draft agreement because it has to be passed by consensus. Okay, so you have to work together, right? And if the agreement passes and there are flaws, shortcomings, it's all right. We're going to entertain a clause-by-clause discussion, okay, during the debate on this agreement, right? And make sure that everyone agree on every single clause on the agreement, okay? Any further question? Yes? Yeah, you can work on working paper. It's not mandatory, and but we will not print the working paper. You can submit it to the DS team. We will upload those documents onto the Google Drive, and you can access via internet. Okay. Only the draft agreement will be printed. All right. Any further question? Yes.
For grading before any speeches, do we have to point out our positions, like this is the administrator, or just say this is a delegate of which nation?
It's really up to you, but like the chair will encourage you to represent the country as opposed to your position, because you're when you conduct your speech, you're representing your country. Okay. Yes.
So what close stage, like a crisis?
A crisis. Okay, a crisis is an unexpected event that we're going to introduce to all of you. And during the crisis, you have to immediately solve it.
Yeah, like what close is it?
We were going to, like usually via a video or document, just distribute it. And so when you read it, you understand what's going on. Okay, that's what we call the crisis.
No, I meant like what would closest?
Causes?
No, close.
Or closer crisis? The chair will request the stakeholder to issue a communique. So once you issue the communique, then we will consider you show your position toward the crisis, and that crisis will be closed. Okay? All right, any other question? Yes?
Are we going to like switch countries during crisis?
switch
Are we
comes.
still representing the same country?
Yeah. You're going to represent the same country. Okay. Yes, Cambodia. No, you should represent your position during branch caucus. But the chair will allow you to get into other block for those who only have 2 ministers. Okay. So you can move around. Yes.
No paper or no passage system.
Do you get a notepad in your bag? You're supposed to have a notepad.
Or some of you might call it a notebook.
Yeah. So when you pass notes, be sure to write the destination country and from where is this notes is sent to. So you have to write your country and your destination country. And just simply raise that paper and we will ask the page to send the note. Okay? And delegate, when passing notes, we're going to screen your notes content. So do not write like, do you want to have a date? Are you available tonight? Okay, please make sure that the content is pertinent to the topic under discussion, okay? Yes?
Can we use our own papers and
Yes.
not the white paper?
Yeah. You can use your own notes paper. It's totally fine. Okay, any other questions? Yes? Gossip? Like you mean like to ask someone to do something?
Just a gossip talk, it's general gossip talk.
What is that for? And are we going to read those notes out?
If you want.
Gossip box, we'll think about that, but not today. Okay, not today. Because you have to get familiar with all the delegates. Okay? Alright. Okay, any other question? Yes?
So the only time we'll be when we'll be like representing our ministry is like specifically is during a branch caucus.
Yeah, branch caucus and perhaps some of the crises will, you know, create a diversion within your country. And you can pass a note to the dais. Like I want to speak to our president, for example, and just pass it to the dais, and we'll give you a reply, and we will like act as your president and give you a reply. So it's a very interactive committee, and I should encourage every delegate to utilize this opportunity. Okay, so you can pass the note to the dais, like I want to ask about your presidency's opinion on this issue, for example. Okay, any other question? Is it too complicated? Yes.
The motion is still going to raise by raising placards or just sending emails?
The motion, you have to raise placards. Okay. And when we vote on the motion and vote on the document, we are going to use this voting system. Okay? All right, any, yes?
For the draft agreement, is it at least 2 sponsors?
Yeah, at least 2 sponsors. And actually, since you only working on one agreement, right? You can work on multiple, but you're only going to pass one. So you can think about that. All right, and at least 2 sponsors. Any other questions? Okay? Alright, so we're going to move on. And after the general debate, you can close when the draft agreement is introduced and thoroughly discussed. You can motion for closure of debate. Okay, and before closure of debate, we're going to have clause by clause discussion. Okay, so remember that. So clause by clause. Okay, and then after the closure debate, we're going to vote on the draft agreement as a whole. Okay, so it's voting. Okay, so that's the procedure of this committee. Okay, yes.
Clause by clause is also consensus voting, right? Clause
What?
by clause is also consensus.
Yes, yes. And during the clause by clause procedure, if you disagree with that specific clause, you can raise an amendment to change that clause. And again, all amendments have to be passed by consensus. Okay, so this procedure is a bit complicated, but the chair will help you to go through this procedure. Yes.
So
Yes.
the deadline is 1:30 p.m. tomorrow.
Yeah.
So we only have one session for clause by clause discussion.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah. We have a tight schedule. Yeah. Only 2 days. And a long opening ceremony. Okay. All right. And the working paper, we do not have deadline. You can basically submit anytime you want. Okay, but be aware of the agreement deadline. Okay. All right. Any further questions? So we would like to try to use this system. So so for example, when the chair open a vote and okay, and at this time we're going to conduct roll call. That means a very important procedure. Okay.
And sorry for the interruption. For the countries who have failed to log into the system, I think the system has already been fixed, so please try again.
Yeah, try again. If you have any further questions, you may raise your hands. Yes. Yes. And as for the communique, you can issue unilaterally, okay, or you can jointly issue the communique. Yes. You still have difficulty logging?
What country are you? Oh, sorry.
Okay, any other delegate? Okay. Is it still on the logging?
Any other countries who can't log in? Okay. DRK. Any others?
No, I cannot.
Sri Lanka, Canada.
It has been deleted.
Oh, it has been deleted? Sorry. Let me check. Oh wait. I can do it right now. Canada, please try again.
Yeah, can you try again?
And Sri Lanka, can you also please try again? Thank you.
Excuse me. So
Yes.
we're only. Is this still correct? Like, how much we want to fill? Yeah.
Oh, and for DPRK, just to make sure, there's an apostrophe behind people's, so you also added that, right? Then can you please also try again? Thank you. Any other countries who still can't log in?
Yes,
European Union, yes. Okay, thank you so much.
1, 2, 3, right?
Yeah, 1, 2, 3.
Yes? You guys still can't log in. Let me try again.
Does anyone has successful login in?
Please raise your hand if your country has already logged into the system. So, alright, there's
Okay, so it should work. Ruben, United States of America, can you change the password?
Oh, you mean?
United States of America.
Oh, okay. I'll also try again.
What's the problem, please?
USA, you can also try again. And Republic of Korea, please also try again. Any other countries or delegates who still can't log into the system? DPRK, sorry.
Ruben.
Yes.
Jasmine 可以加入。还是有一些在找到。
DPRK, I've changed your name to DPRK, so see if that works. And Republic of Korea, can you guys log in? Oh, you guys log in, okay, great. Any other countries or?
USA is still having some.
Oh, you guys still can log in?
Yeah.
Then give me a second.
Okay, so we're approaching launch time, and after launch, because like session 1 is very, very short, so it's only 1 hour. Okay, so I hope to get through roll call, but if we couldn't get through roll call, and like suspension meeting immediately after roll call. Okay, and but after launch time, we're going to have an open speech via toward the tab, toward the table. Okay, so please prepare an opening speech to express your conscious position and how you're going to approach this issue. All right.
Oh, and United States of America, I've changed your name to your abbreviation USA. Please try that. Okay, thank you so much.
Yes. Per country.
Alright.
Okay, everyone logging in. Anyone still couldn't log in? Anyone? Oh, that's great. That's great. We can finally roll call.
Awesome.
All right. All right, David. All right. So at this time, you couldn't do anything on your accounts, but we're going to call on your countries in alphabetical order, and you have to just answer present if you are present. Okay. Australia. Australia is present. Bangladesh. Bangladesh is present. Brunei. Brunei is present. Cambodia. Cambodia is present. Canada. Canada is present. China. China is present. Democratic People's Republic of Korea. DPRK is present. European Union. European Union is present. India. India is present. Indonesia. Indonesia is present. Japan. Japan is present. Laos. Laos is present. Malaysia. Malaysia is present. Mongolia. Mongolia is present. Myanmar. Myanmar is present. New Zealand. New Zealand is present. Pakistan. Pakistan is present. Papua New Guinea. Papua New Guinea. Okay. Papua New Guinea is absent. Philippines. Philippines is present. Republic of Korea. Republic of Korea is present. Russian Federation. Russian Federation is present. Singapore. Singapore is present. Sri Lanka. Sri Lanka is present. Thailand. Thailand is present. Timor-Leste. Right, Timor-Leste is absent. United States of America. United States of America is present. Vietnam. Vietnam is also present. Okay, then we send. Let's see. Okay, all right. We have a total of 25 countries present. A simple majority 13, and 2/3 majority. Anyone help? 18, right? Okay, 18. 2/3. Okay, this system does not cannot calculate. All right, and let's do. Anyone want to raise the motion to suspend the meeting? Motion. Yes. Delegate of Bangladesh.
Motion to suspend the meeting for lunchtime.
Okay. Yeah, let's try this voting system. Oh, it's 2/3 majority 70, but that's not important. Let's move on to the vote. Yes. Right. Type suspension. Okay, and vote type, procedural vote, so meaning everyone must vote. For lunchtime. Okay, lunch type of. Oh, Arch time. Alright. Alright, at this time, you can click, let's say, ongoing voting, or you can refresh. And you will see a ongoing voting, and click into, just click into it. Then there are 2 options, yes or no. Click yes if you want lunch. Click no if you want to stay here. Okay. All right. So once everyone votes, we're going to see the result. Oh, we have 1 no. Surprisingly. Has everyone voted? Okay, everyone voted. All right. Okay, we actually can change your vote.
Oh, Malaysia!
All right, Japan, where are you? You still decided? Where's Japan? Because this is procedural vote. Are you logging in, or you have some technical difficulty? Okay, because we could not proceed without. Oh yeah, great. Let's click send. Wow, congratulations. This motion passes and the meeting is suspended until 1:30 p.m. So at this time, please remain in your seats, and we have to wait until the staff to give further instruction. Okay. At this time, you can just chat with your friends.
Oh, and just before that, there is also a small reminder. So, at the place where we had our opening ceremony, you guys remember, some of you might have already taken your salon photos, I guess. So, if any of you still haven't yet taken that particular photo, you can also use your lunchtime to go to the 4th floor to take your own photos. Yeah, just that.
See you guys messenger? And we have further announcements. Okay, now please pay your attention to Chair Ruben, and he will give further announcements.
Give me a second.
Are there any delegate who has not get your badge yet? Gotten your badge, any delegates? Okay, make sure you have a badge with you at all time.
Right. Oh, sorry. My bad. So, there are several reminders for you to keep in mind. The first one is eating and drinking drinks is not allowed in this room other than water. So if you guys have any drinks or food that you have not yet finished but you would like to keep on using later, then there are tables outside the conference room. So whenever you come into this particular conference room, just simply leave your drinks there. Is that okay? Okay. And the second one is we'll be having a, what should I call it? Social event, dinner party? Yeah, social event. We'll be having a social event tonight, and the social event venue is about 2 blocks away from here, but we'll be taking the BRT there. So, does everybody have an easy card or yo-yo card? Like everybody has one, right? Okay.
We had to go as a team. So it's going to be messy, but that's the instruction we get. So we had to, had to make sure that everyone gets onto the BRT and go there together. Okay.
So sorry for the inconveniences, but we hope you enjoy it. And then there's also a third reminder, which is the certificates that you'll be getting. You won't be getting these for those who get recognized and acquire an award during our conference. The particular certificate will be sent to you by mail after the conference. So you won't be getting your certificates here. And lastly,
so basically when you get onto the stage to receive the award, that award is fake. Okay, you just had to, just take it and take a picture, but you are not getting that fake certificate with you. Okay, the real one will send it to you through mailing. Okay.
And there's also another more important reminder for you guys to remember. So we'll be conducting roll call whenever the session starts. The session schedule can be found inside your handbooks. And because this is a free conference itself, so we're highly strict on your participation. So if you're late to a session more than 30 minutes, then you'll be basically marked as absent for that particular session. 30 minutes, is that okay? Okay. And one last thing. Give me a sec. You guys can keep chatting.
So are there any of your partners that's supposed to be here today but is absent in this session? Can you raise your hand? Okay, European Union, can you give, 2 of you can give me your name? Josh. Jasmine, can you check the list? Just in the envelope. In the envelope. Yeah, we have a detailed roll call sheet. So it's going to make sure that every single delegate is present. Okay, in the first session. Alright, so Josh and Timmy, so the other delegate had to be marked absent. Okay. Oh, she wasn't coming. Oh, okay. Oh yeah. Alright, and any other delegate? Okay, Brunei. Okay, Cambodia. Okay, so what's your other? Do you know your?
Can I send notes like?
Okay, yeah. Can you send notes? Okay, yeah, that's much more convenient. Okay.
And the final reminder is also for me. I think it's a really important one. So I would like to recognize our observers in our committee for this session. So the names I have here are from the organization Fulbright. Is that correct? Yes. So can you please stand up and accept our applause? So welcome to Taiwan again. Right. And thank you guys so much for being here. And for the delegates, we'll be changing. Observers will be moving around the conference venue throughout the conference and observing your debate. So be professional and be formal. Thank you.
Yeah, and during the social events, we will invite some of the observers to comment on your performance. Okay? So behave. Please behave. Okay?
Yeah, and that's about it. Thank you.
So, staff, 我们要怎么出去还是现在可以出去了吗？
Oh, and because in your registration forms you guys have selected whether you want us to help you register for today's lunch. So if you have selected that you would like to register for lunch, you should get something like this, which is something like a coupon or something. If you guys don't have that, then please prepare AT&T. Lunch costs AT&T. NT dollars, 80块. AT. Yeah, basically. And again, if you guys won't be using lunch in our venue, then please do be reminded that the next session starts at 1:30. 1:30.
Chair David.
May the House now come to order. So we'll be starting by the roll call. When I call the name of your country, please say present. Australia. Excuse me, Australia, I can hear you. Australia is present. Bangladesh. Bangladesh is present. Brunei. Brunei is present. Cambodia is present. Canada is present. China is present. DPRK is present. European Union is present. India is present. Indonesia is present. Japan is present. Laos is present. Malaysia is present. Mongolia is present. Myanmar is present. New Zealand is present. Pakistan is present. Papua New Guinea absent. Papua New Guinea is absent. Philippines is present. Republic of Korea is present. Russian Federation is present. Singapore is present. Sri Lanka is present. Thailand is present. Timor-Leste is absent. USA is present. Vietnam is present. So we have now 25 countries presenting in this committee. So the simple majority would be 13 agreed, and the two-thirds majority will be 17 agreed. So we'll now move on to the general speakers list. If there's any delegate who would like to be registered for the general speakers list, please raise your hand. Please.
Motion for turn to table.
I'm sorry, I cannot hear you. Would you please speak louder?
Motion for toward the table.
Okay. Is there any seconders?
Second.
Okay. So those for the toward the table, please. Jasmine, would you please turn on to the voting system? Please.
Minor parliamentary inquiry. Shouldn't we be having a speaker on general speaker list before we can have any motions? Like this general speaker list should have some delegates in order to act.
We invite the chair to explain the rules of procedure.
Usually we will have some speakers, but under the chair's discretion, we allow the motions to be raised first.
Thank you, Philippines. Okay, so sorry, is that Vietnam? Vietnam was you okay, so USA, okay, so for the preferred speakers time, USA? 2 minutes. Should we shorten it to 1 minute because we have very limited time today for the session?
90 seconds in order.
Oh yes, it is in order. For the purpose of?
Clarifying nation stances.
Okay.
Clarify nation stances.
Okay. Should we wait for the co-chair?
Nation stances.
The total time for.
Yeah, I think it should be fine. We just move on to the next. Procedure voting, please. We'll now be conducting the voting procedure. Delegates, please vote on your personal device.
representing the entire
Moderator.
I'll screw it, I'm saying we.
Brunei, you haven't voted. China, Malaysia, Sri Lanka. Okay, so all delegations have voted. Those who are for is 22 and against is 3, so the motion is passed.
Point. May the chair allow all the delegates to put off their masks during their speech since other delegates may not hear them clearly for the audibility.
For this decision, we
Due to disease prevention concern, you still are required to wear a mask. But if you couldn't hear the speaker's voice, you may raise a point of personal privilege for inaudibility. For the speakers, I recognize you have to approach the podium, and there will be a microphone on the podium. And for the next country, you can wait on the chair beside the podium.
That's okay, so thank you for the points. And to the delegates, yes, the Dias team would like to remove our mask as well. But yeah, that's due to the pandemic prevent policy from the city government. So we apologize for that. Okay, so let's move on. Okay, so we just passed the tour of the table proposed by the delegation of the United States. So United States, would you like to start first for this tour of the table? First. Please approach the podium, delegation of the United States. And upon you start speaking, you will have 90 seconds. So we will bang the gavel before, like 10 seconds before the time's up. So delegation of the United States, you may now have the floor.
Honorable chairs and fellow delegates, these are the delegates of the United States of America speaking. For a long history of consistent hostility between Pacific Asia countries for scrambling tremendous benefit from SCS, the United States has always assisted the SCS region to maintain peace and security.
The United States is convinced that the reduction of Southeast Asian economic dependence on China and the economic alliance between Association of Southeast Asian Nations and non-Asian countries will further strengthen and unify diplomatic relationships between nations mentioned above.
We also believe that a regional issue should be regarded as a global issue, since this kind of regional security and economic crisis has undoubtedly raised global tension and strongly affected the market status quo. Therefore, the United States firmly believes that the involvement and collaboration of non-Asian nations is necessary and crucial. In conclusion, the United States is open to all negotiations and aspires to initiate further discussions for nations to discover mutual interests and create feasible solutions. Thank you.
Thank you, delegates of the United States. So next on, we'll recognize the delegation by alphabetical order. So the next delegation will be Vietnam.
Honorable Chair and distinguished delegates.
Audibility.
Excuse me, is there any points on the floor? Please raise your hand. If I didn't recognize you, please speak louder again. Yes? Okay. Delegates of Vietnam, would you like to speak up?
Yes. Honorable Chair and distinguished delegate, this is the Minister of Foreign Affairs of Vietnam speaking. Due to the national stances and national recognize that we would like to refer South China Sea into the East Sea in Vietnam terms, and ask for the East Sea affair. The Vietnam encouraged all the countries to pursue the rules of liberty intercourse between states, and also we encourage all the countries within the East Sea region to cooperate with each other to pursue greater benefits in the region. And also we expect the countries with not in the East Sea region to respect our to execute the right in the region.
Honorable Chairs and distinguished delegates, this is the Minister of National Defense of Vietnam speaking. Finance will face legitimacy of the South China Sea arbitration and call upon each member state sign UN CLOS respecting it. At the same time, Vietnam will protect the sovereignty in East Seas from the new imperialist contributed by acts of evil. Finally, the delegate encouraged the nations in East Seas pursue the rules of neighborly intercourse between states to create prosperity in East Seas.
Honorable Chair and distinguished delegates, this is the Minister of Economics of Vietnam speaking. As the East Sea is a very important...
Sorry, delegates of Vietnam, your time's up. So next we invite Australia. Delegates of Australia, you may now have the floor.
The delegation of Australia believes that the issue in the South China Sea is not just a political issue, but it is also an environmental issue, as coral reefs in the sea have been affected by the construction of artificial islands, which also affects the economic development of countries relying on coral reefs for job opportunities in the fields such as tourism. So the delegation of Australia hopes that the international community can have the sea's marine ecosystem as the main concern in mind, instead of each country's covet for power and influence in the South China Sea.
Australia does not physically locate on the South China Sea, has multiple ties such as agreements and other economic activities that makes the country's activity participate in maintaining peace in the region. The delegations of Australia believe that the disputes in the South China Sea is a complex issue that touches about deep histories between China and its neighbors that was subject to the country's imperialist approaches.
Australia hopes that the international community should not recognize territories based on the disputable and biased recounts of history. However, the main goal of Australia is to make states pay more attention to the coral reefs in the SCS, which has
10 seconds left.
Which has been damaged in the construction of artificial islands there. It should be noted. And the delegation of Australia hopes that...
Thanks up. Thank you, delegates of Australia. Next on, we will invite delegates of Bangladesh.
Chairs and members of the delegate, This is the Minister of Economy from Bangladesh. Here, Bangladesh come up some economic solution to perhaps they can give you to the committee some way we can see and writing the agreement. We believe that it's more crucial to focus on the way we're assessing and sharing the resources than rather than claiming the ownership or the sovereignty of the land or the island. To achieve it, we hope that we can circle the controversial territories to share and open the resources to the world and make the profit be used to hold the SCS-related activity and rather than make it distribute directly to each country. That means we hope that the controversial area could share and open to the world and make the profit only on the area. In economic way, we hope that this kind of solution can be put on the agreement. Bangladesh hope that the agreement going to the world can be not comprehensive, but we can make them with different kind of categories to economy, foreign affairs, and the defense way. And we hope that the agreement should let the world understand easily what we are going to do, rather than we want to combine the three of perspective in one class. By class, we can discuss the different kind of solution and makes us with the most efficiency on the agreement. Thanks.
Thank you, delegates of Bangladesh. Next, we'll invite delegates of Brunei.
Honorable Chair and distinguished delegates, this is the delegate of Brunei speaking. After a long period of silence on the issue, the Brunei Ministry of Foreign Affairs issued a statement declaring that it maintains its two-step approach in addressing the South China Sea. It represents a critical development in the Chinese Sultanate's views on the region and rising China. Brunei's two-step approach indicates that while the mechanism for conflict resolution is bilateral and adherent to the 1982 UN Convention for the Law of the Sea, it also stresses the importance of Association of Southeast Asian Nations ASEAN-China Code of Conduct.
Thank you, delegates of Brunei. Next, we'll invite delegates of Cambodia.
Good afternoon, honorable chairs and fellow delegates. This is the delegate of Cambodia speaking. As a third party yet a close observant regarding the South China Sea issue.
Delegates of Cambodia, we'll just stop for a while. Yes?
Personal privilege for audibility.
Delegates of Cambodia, would you like to speak louder, please? Thank you. You may now continue.
As a third party and a close observant regarding the South China Sea issue, Cambodia definitely spectates most of the controversies in negotiation. For example, USA freedom of the sea or international law versus China's history sovereignty or China's bilateral negotiation versus Russia's multilateral negotiation.
Would you like hold the microphone closer to your mouth, please? Thank you.
So regardless of its USA, which is economic dependent, or Vietnam's integrity and territory, we believe that in the name of the ARF's purpose to facilitate security talks, would put the highlight on the premise of the implementation of the Code of Conduct, or the COC. We have dissected this topic into two main parts, short-term and long-term. Long-term meaning what we can do to lead to the road of COC, short-term meaning emergency responding system for the incidents. So those who are willing to know more about Cambodia's plan, please send a note or approach us in further moderated caucus. We hope delegates can share their thoughts on the premise of the COC. Thank you.
Thank you, delegates of Cambodia. Next, we'll invite delegates of Canada. May have the floor.
Honorable Chair and distinguished delegates, the diplomatic stalemate in the South China Sea has been a controversial issue. The disputes now not only undermine peace and stability in the region, but also jeopardizes the biodiversity, which would indirectly affect the Arctic region of Canada. Therefore, Canada has held a workshop on managing potential conflicts in the South China Sea with Indonesian ambassadors, and also participated in various multinational maritime exercises in the region. That being said, Canada is highly interested in ensuring that the SCS remains a zone of peace, stability, prosperity, and open international passage, suggesting to leave the SCS free for navigation, and believes that it is essential that all states in the region exercise restraint and avoid coercion and actions that would escalate tensions. In regard to the territorial disputes in the SCS, Canada hopes the countries would assign territory according to the United Nations Convention instead of unidentifiable histories of each country, and come up with a maritime claim that puts the friendliness towards the environment before the benefits of the governments.
Thank you, delegates of Canada. Next, we'll invite delegates of China. You may now have the floor.
Honorable chairs and distinguished delegates, it is the delegates of China. South China State is located in Western Pacific Ocean, founded in the north of South China at the same time. With the spatial geographical location, countries nearby are mostly Southeast Asia countries, and as the region of China's economic and geostrategic importance, China have formed military bases and also the preventive diplomacies.
Honorable Chair and distinguished delegates, this is a delegate of China speaking. What China wishes to achieve is to set regulations that are equal to each nation, and that the benefits of SCS be shared with countries that have signed the regulations and not violating it. Cautioning at the same time, countries that seem to violate or destroying the regulations shall be banned from using all the resources in SCS. And military forces could be taken if country continues with challenging. China wishes such act won't be happening, since the main idea of regulation is to gather nations to have peaceful cooperation, and at the same time preventing military forces to be act out. Thus, using the geographical and natural resources within other countries have been the goal for nations to reach.
Thank you, delegates of China. Next, we'll invite delegates of the Democratic People's Republic of Korea. Yes.
Sorry, delegate, motions not in order at this time.
Honorable chairs and fellow delegates, this is the delegate of DPRK speaking. The South China Sea is an important waterway to the Southeast Asian countries. It is also believed that it possesses rich natural resources. Due to the overlapping territories, disputes among China, Brunei, and Indonesia, Malaysia, the Philippines, Taiwan, and Vietnam collided. Countries have been claiming islands as their own sovereign territory. Although North Korea hasn't been closely involved in this situation, but is willing to work with others to come up with a peaceful resolution to maintain world peace. Therefore, DPRK is looking forward to work with other neutral countries to form a bloc and discuss about feasible solutions. Thank you.
Thank you, delegates of DPRK. Next, we invite delegates of the European Union.
Honorable Chair and distinguished delegates, this is the delegate of the EU speaking. The EU, as always, stands as the role of negotiator among SES in order to reach the collective interest of all states within this region. The SES, possessing more than 30% of world's seaborne trade, has escalated its importance in the international community. Thus, the EU, though lacking proximity, has an intimate relation with the Asian and encompassing states. And also, to echo on the delegate of the US, we would like to state that this topic is regarded as a global issue. The EU would like to uphold the importance of UNCLOS and FOM. The EU refers to the law and principle as a pivotal element in stabilizing the status of SES and oppose any movements trying to alter the status quo, since EU has declared the policy of principled neutrality. Consequently, the EU would like to collaborate with Asian nations such as Myanmar and Bangladesh and nations that consent to concepts that EU promotes, such as New Zealand. Thank you.
Thank you, delegates of the European Union. Next, we would like to invite the delegates of India.
And delegate, to save time, next on the list can get prepared next to the podium. So Indonesia, you may be prepared.
Honorable chairs, our enemies and distinguished delegates, this is a delegate of India speaking. Although India is not the main country in South China Sea dispute, India is concerned about the overall development of South China Sea. India believes that maintaining peace, stability, and prosperity in this region is important to the international society. So we cannot ignore the conflict about South China Sea. India's freedom of navigation and commercial profile in the South China Sea must be respected. All countries to dispute in the South China Sea should settle their disputes peacefully in accordance with generally accepted norms of international law. We call on the international societies to strengthen cooperation in ensuring the safety of sea passage and improving maritime safety.
India recognizes how critical South China Sea is only to a significant geographical location and rich resources. However, due to China's disregard of the convention, China has kept on the construction of artificial islands and trying to extend the sphere of influence and expand armament aggressively, which pressures neighboring countries have no choice but to expand armament simultaneously in order to balance the large disparity of military force and maintain security. Indian government believes that every country should abide by the convention, and India would only like to solve the problem of the development of SES, considering economic benefits and environmentally sustainability, but also cooperated with those countries who have been threatened by China and uphold the sovereignty. Thank you.
Thank you, delegates of India. Next, we would like to invite the delegates of Indonesia. You may now have the floor. And delegates of Japan, you may now prepare for your speech.
Honorable chairs and delegates, we, the Republic of Indonesia, wish to foster a constructive dialogue of common interest and concern as the objectives of the ARF have stated. Indonesia has long made clear of its position as a non-claimant state on the SES dispute and is willing to maintain peace in the region. China's unilateral claim on the 9-dash line has violated the EEZ of the Natuna Islands. Therefore, we reiterate our objection to China's claim in that China has no historical right over the region.
The Republic of Indonesia desires to be the mediator of the controversial region and urge China to acknowledge the arbitration made in 2016 and conform to the international law with the purpose of settling all disputes. Lastly, the Republic of Indonesia believes that finalizing the code of conduct in SES will bring benefits to all states in the region. Thank you.
Thank you, delegates of Indonesia. Delegates of Laos, you may now prepare. And delegates of Japan, you may now have the floor.
Honorable chairs and fellow delegates, this is a delegate of Japan speaking. The South China Sea is Japan's important economy lifeline. About 70 to 80% of the oil imported to Japan needs to pass through the South China Sea transportation line to reach Japan. Japan does not want any country that threatens Japan to control the South China Sea. Although Japan is an extraterritorial country in the territorial disputes in the South China Sea, it is not concerned with the issue of territorial ownership. But there are means and methods for dispute settlements. In addition, another focus on the concern is on maritime issue, maintaining and consolidating free navigation and free overfly in the South China Sea. Japan's maritime lifeline and maritime trade are no less important than the defenses of Japanese mainland.
This delegate calls of all countries to be aware of Japan's emphasis on the South China Sea and its geostrategic importance, and in response to China's gradual expansions for its influence in the South China Sea, it will indirectly affect Japan's involvement in South China Sea affairs and policy adjustment, especially assisting Southeast Asian countries strengthen their energy to deal with the South China Sea affairs. Finally, this delegate is very willing to cooperate and negotiate with other countries.
Thank you, delegates of Japan. Next, delegates of Malaysia, you may now prepare. Delegates of Laos, you may now have the floor.
Dear Honorable Chair and fellow delegates, this is the delegation of Lao People's Democratic Republic speaking. As one of the Asian member states, Lao adopted and noticed various frameworks and declarations across the three pillars of the Asian community and cooperation frameworks between Asian and its dialogue partners, aiming at turning vision into reality for dynamic Asian community. Laos' primary focus on Asian is to narrow the development gap and work plan for the initiative for Asian integration. Laos adjusts its national policy frameworks, including security, social, cultural, and economic development, to be consistent with Asian frameworks. Thank you.
Thank you, delegates of Laos. Delegates of Mongolia, you may now prepare. And delegates of Malaysia, you may have the floor.
Honorable Chair and fellow delegates, this is the Minister of the Defense of the delegation of Malaysia speaking. The South China Sea has always been a major point of contention for its neighboring countries, especially for China, Vietnam, Brunei, and the Philippines, and Malaysia. This region is not only rich in natural resources, but also even more valuable as a shipping route supplying most of East and Southeast Asia, and that is including most countries present today. Delegates, would you put the umbilical cord of your country's imports and exports into the hands of a tyrant?
Malaysia has always adhered to international laws concerning our claim in the South China Sea. Our claims are in accordance with the United Nations Convention on the Law of the Sea. Malaysia is no stranger to the management of marine passageways, as evidenced by our presence along the Straits of Malacca throughout history.
The delegation in Malaysia is willing to cooperate to create a peaceful setting to facilitate constructive conversations. However, we are also willing to further scrutinize the passage of ships throughout the Strait of Malacca. If Malaysia is threatened, Malaysia options include raising passage fees, limiting the transport of certain goods, or denying passage in extreme situations. Please keep in mind that these options are only to ensure healthy and bilateral discussions within this committee. Thank you.
Thank you, delegates from Malaysia. Delegates from Myanmar, you may now prepare. And delegates from Mongolia, you may have the floor.
Honorable Chair and distinguished delegates, this is the delegate of Mongolia speaking. Being a landlocked country far away from the area at issue, Mongolia is not directly involved in the territory dispute of South China Sea. However, Mongolia is willing to become the bridge between any issue-related countries Also, Mongolia takes advantage of its positive and steady diplomatic relationships with many East Asian countries to help maintain peace in the conflicted region. Since the conflict in SCS involves extremely complicated political details, Mongolia urged that without further discussions, it would be not neutral if the international community decides to acknowledge any country's right to rule over the area at issue. The delegate of Mongolia believes that only when every country makes its own concession can the resources in the SCS be shared and utilized properly and fairly. Therefore, Mongolia blames on any destruction of safety and stability in SCS and any other aggressive behavior. And the delegate of Mongolia is also willing to hear more and exchange opinions with other countries. Thank you.
Thank you, delegates from Mongolia. Next, we would like to invite delegates from Myanmar and delegates from New Zealand. You may now prepare.
Honorable Chair and fellow delegates, this is the delegate of Myanmar speaking. The distribution of South China Sea had long been a controversy along the country due to its high value in various aspects. Though Myanmar doesn't have a direct territory claim to the South China Sea, it is in close economic relationship with countries involved in the topic, such as China, the Philippines, and the United States. Therefore, Myanmar remained neutral in this situation.
The delegation believes this crisis is an issue that the most pressing threat to the regional security and world peace. Thus calls upon the members to evaluate the existing peaceful settlement mechanism, including confidence building measures and code of conduct, and to the application and implementation of these mechanisms to alleviate the military tensions. And we are always welcome the country that stands in shore to have further discussion with us. Thank you.
Thank you, delegates from Myanmar. Next, we would like to invite delegates from New Zealand and delegates of Pakistan. You may now prepare.
Honorable chairs, hardworking admins, and distinguished delegates, this is the delegate of New Zealand speaking. The issue of settling the disputes in the South China Sea has become more complicated and serious nowadays because of the conflict between China and the USA. The military actions that are taken by China in recent days have a strong and negative effect on New Zealand's economic activity in the SCS. To seek for a safe and peaceful area for every nation to be able to trade with other countries, New Zealand wishes each nation to bring in some related legislations and so maintain economic stability. Furthermore, we hope to collaborate with the countries that have the same statement as us to reduce the number of military actions taken in the SCS. For more aspects, New Zealand would also like to discuss with fellow delegates. Thank you.
Thank you, delegates from New Zealand. Delegates of the Philippines, you may now prepare. And the delegates of Pakistan, you may now have the floor.
Good afternoon, Honorable Chair and distinguished delegates. This is the delegate of Pakistan speaking. The delegation of Pakistan hopes and of course believes that we will have a peaceful discussion and fruitful debates. All of us are seeking to make today's session informative and productive. We sincerely hope every delegate would consider each resolution and speech deeply and wisely, and therefore make a smart decision as well as a statement. We all know we're here to create a better world instead of making any individual satisfied. South China Sea is an urgent issue that all of us has been seeking solutions for more than 10 years. Bearing in mind that South China Sea has in recent years become a flashpoint for tensions between many nations, and 1/3 of the world's maritime shipping passes through it, not only for Pakistan, but the rest of the nations as a whole. Nevertheless, the resolution today is to settle the dispute and find a way to benefit all of us. The delegation of Pakistan will try its best to vote for the resolution that best protects all of the nations. Let's always find a powerful and judicious solution for the issue.
Thank you, delegates of Pakistan. Next, we would like to invite the delegates of the Philippines. Delegates of the Philippines. Delegates of Republic of Korea, you may now prepare.
Dear fellow delegate and honorable chairs, first the Philippines would like to reaffirm that we have a lawful, defined according to the prescribed UN clause. Our island are ours according to the law. And secondly, with our faithful to cooperate with people, we already decided to retreat our military and only have military exercises within our economic inclusive zone. So we are also hoping that other countries are able to de-escalate with the tension.
Delegates of the Philippines, myself or well. Okay. Delegates of the Philippines, please speak louder so that everyone can hear you in the house. Thank you.
Alright. The Philippines, under the principles of self-restraint, would like to call upon our other delegates to de-escalate the tension in South China Sea by reducing the military activities right there. And just as the delegate of Philippines said, our president already ordered us to not attend other military exercises with others and also demilitarize these islands, namely China. And after all, the delegate is already planning to propose a communique with several countries, and we will be focusing on this point more on, and we suggest all delegates to cooperate with us, and we call upon both the United States and China to find a balance between foreign interference and Western presence, because we believe the need of outsiders are required to make sure that the regional is peace. Simply having the same people in the same region are not sufficient enough to maintain the peaceful negotiation in this region. So we are encouraging the delegate of the United States and China to find a balance and cooperate on this.
Your time's up.
Can't finish it. But for further information, the
delegates of
are wishing
Philippines,
to
your
propose
time's
to
up.
moderate the caucus later, and
Delegates of Republic of Korea, you may now have the floor.
Honorable Chair, distinguished delegates, this is the Minister of Foreign Affairs of the Republic of Korea. The South China Sea is rich in oil resources and has many small islands. This makes the exclusive economic sea area of each country the focus of controversy. For countries with any islands in the South China Sea, sovereignty is very important if it is an island. It has 12 miles of territorial sea and 200 miles of exclusive economic sea area. The reef has only 12 miles of territorial sea and no exclusive economic sea area. Up to now, our country, Republic of Korea, has not made a clear response to the South China Sea issue. However, the Republic of Korea still takes it seriously and encourages all nations to note the importance of keeping the freedom of navigation and overflight to SES.
As for the solution, our country suggests that all countries with any islands or reefs in the South China Sea should abolish their economic sea area or own them all, whether island or reefs, and make clear that
10 seconds left.
the combination of their ownership, most importantly the Republic of Korea, would like to suggest that all countries abide by the recognized or post-conference treaties and regulations.
Thank you, delegates of the Republic of Korea. Next, we would like to invite the delegates of the Russian Federation. The delegates of Singapore, you may now prepare.
Honorable chairs and fellow delegates, this is the Minister of Foreign Affairs of Russian Federation speaking. The overlapping exclusive economic zone at South China Sea has caused disputes economically and diplomatically. Considering the fact that Russia's remote location to the South China Sea, it has never been the focus to this country. However, this delegate expects nations to seek a possible solution and firmly obey international laws throughout the process, especially the United Nations Convention on the Law of the Sea. Before a feasible solution is formed on the floor, Russian Federation will stick to the plan where no nations should own any overlapping areas at South China Sea. Military forces will be considered utilized to lead to those who violate such plan. So the delegate of Russian Federation wishes to cooperate with all nations and are welcome to all kinds of negotiations.
This is the Russian Federation's military of defense. Russian Federation isn't a country like to join into the war. The East Asian nation has to discuss together its valid interests in the South China Sea. Russian Federation will always follow the United Nations Convention on the law of the sea and be neutral. Russian army force will protect our own interests and prevent any nation try to plunder the interests in the South China Sea in the necessary.
Thank you, delegates of Russian Federation. Delegates of Singapore, you may now have the floor, and delegates of Sri Lanka, you may now prepare.
Honorable Chair and distinguished delegations, this is the delegation of Singapore speaking. Singapore is a non-claimant state under dispute, and Singapore believes that it is very costly and unwise to have a large-scale military confrontation. It is also very unjustified for any country to gain jurisdiction over an area through brutal force.
Singapore plays an important role in international seaside transportation, with one of the most important ports in Southeast Asia. In 2017, the total value of import and export trade reached $700 billion US. Therefore, Singapore will continue to promote the safety of navigation in the South China Sea.
Today, the delegation of Singapore is here to urge the diplomatic actions to build trust and confidence among nations, thus resolving conflicts through peaceful means. The delegation of Singapore is willing to be a medium for friendly dialogue among the claimant states and is now looking forward to working with other delegates with similar mindset. Thanks.
Thank you, delegates of Singapore. Next, we would like to invite delegates of Sri Lanka. And delegates of Thailand, you may now prepare. Yes, you may now have the floor.
The South China Sea dispute definitely goes beyond being a territorial dispute. It has much broader implications for maritime security, peace, environmental and economic stability of the region and also the surrounding regions. Honorable chairs and fellow delegates, the delegation of Sri Lanka believes that it's imperative to distribute maritime resources equally and to ensure freedom of navigation to attain peace and stability in the South China Sea. The nations should refer to the international laws to settle the ongoing dispute by the means of multilateral dialogue and cooperation. By drawing attention on key agreements such as the Code of Conduct, Sri Lanka seeks to assist in building a lasting, profitable peace and call upon the international community to engage in constructive debate to settle the dispute. Thank you.
Thank you, delegates of Sri Lanka. And lastly, we will invite the delegates of Thailand.
Honorable chairs and distinguished delegates, this is the delegate of Thailand speaking. Rising tensions over the South China Sea and its accompanying sea lines of communication have rendered the contentious region a subject of increasing topicality, prompting our former Minister of Foreign Affairs, Surin Pitsuwan, to describe the drastic intensification as evolving into another Palestine. What he was referring to is the melange of conflicting interests that has continued to undermine the region's security. A resurgent China's assertiveness over the 9-dash line confronts Pentagon's military buildup on the South Chinese periphery, thwarting successful peace management.
Not claiming any islands, Thailand is a neutral player calling for joint development of resources in the sea, working actively with all ASEAN constituents to promote preventive diplomacy and ensure the functionality of all existing dispute management mechanisms. Bangkok urges the construction of a stronger regional structure, as well as enhancing trust and confidence in a balanced and transparent manner. Last but not least, Thailand is willing Last but not least, Thailand is willing to cooperate with every nation and seeks possible solutions to de-escalate the dispute in the South China Sea. Thank you.
Thank you, delegates to Thailand. Two of the table has exhausted. Okay, so just please wait for a while. We will now return back to the general speakers list. We will recognize the delegates before we recognize the motions. So, if there is any delegates who would like to be registered for the general speakers list, please raise your card of the hand. Okay. Sorry, I can't see Laos, Malaysia. Okay, let's we're all here. Are there any points of motion on the floor? USA is first.
Motion to extend the speaking time.
The default speaking time is 60 seconds per delegates for the general speakers list. How long would you like to extend?
To 90 seconds.
To 90 seconds. Is there any seconder? Okay. Then that's in order. Yes? Sorry, can you speak louder, please? Moderated caucus?
Yeah, moderated.
For the purpose of?
Economics and foreign policies.
Economics and foreign policies. 10 minutes for all and 1 minute for each. Okay. Are there any other points? Okay, after accepting this motion, we will return back to the speakers list. We will conduct the voting for this motion after they finish their speaking. Points of order. After you raise the motion, we will let the speakers finish their general speakers list, and then we will come back to the voting of the motion. Is that clear? Okay. So, delegates of Laos, you may now conduct your speakers list. We are being the 10 seconds before the time's up. You may now have the floor.
Honorable Chair, distinguished delegate, tensions in the South China Sea have increasing tightened compared to the past decade. To adapt to the new situation and achieve joint development with neighbor countries, the Lao People's Democratic Republic helps to maintain peace and ease the tension. As a member of ASEAN, Laos will create a favorable environment for positive dialogue among countries concerned. Laos insisted on abiding by the Treaty of Amity Cooperation in Southeast Asia and believed that ASEAN has helped the nation elevate poverty and maintain political stability. Hence, Laos pursue economic and cultural cooperation under any circumstances that ensure peace. To achieve the Treaty of Amity and Cooperation in Southeast Asia, Laos have actively carried on peaceful exchange and cooperation with neighboring countries.
Thank you, delegates of Laos. Next, lastly, the delegates from Malaysia.
Honorable Chair and fellow delegates, the delegation of Malaysia would like to remind this committee that the South China Sea issue is one that cannot be postponed further. If countries continue to abstain on this issue, this problem will only worsen. Therefore, this delegation strongly urges that all delegations take a side as soon as possible. This delegation would also like to remind each delegation present of the events that happened to Hong Kong last year. As most countries' resources and economic goods come from the sea, and this is including Brunei, Cambodia, Indonesia, Laos, the Philippines, Singapore, Thailand, Vietnam, the European Union, Japan, North Korea, and South Korea. These countries could take of the outcome if China were to take control of the South China Sea. As China has shown in the handling of Hong Kong, the delegation of China can and will, in cases, bring about big changes as it wants to, against everybody's will. What if China starts limiting the passage of ships? What if they try to increase the shipping fees to absurd levels? the economy and well-being of its
Delegates from Malaysia, your time's up.
Thank you.
For the delegates who have just registered for the general speakers list, can raise your card overhead again. We'll accept it first, and then we'll start the next procedure. Cambodia, Pakistan, Myanmar, DPRK, Singapore. Sorry, I cannot see the name. Vietnam, USA, Mongolia. I'll wait for the co-chair. Cambodia, Brunei, Pakistan, Philippines, European Union, DPRK, Singapore. Are there any motions on the floor? Point first, European Union. Oh, we invite the parliamentarian to describe the rules of procedure.
Is this delegate raise a point of information? Okay. Point of information is not allowed during the general speakers list. You can use the remaining time to your two questions. Okay.
Thank you. For what purpose?
For the purpose of discussing potential communique and draft agreements.
Okay. For total time?
Total time 15 minutes.
15 minutes. Would you like to shorten it a bit? Okay. Each speaker's time?
Unmoderated.
Okay, sorry. Is there any seconders? We have already registered the next procedure, so for this part of the procedure, we'll yield it to the chair, Ruben.
Point.
Yes, delegate. Okay.
Point of parliamentary inquiry. Isn't a communique only being introduced when a crisis occurs?
Communiques can also be issued by delegates whenever they want. It is simply a statement made by states which will be issued to every member of this particular house.
Okay, thank you.
Right. So there are three motions currently raised by delegates in the House. First, a motion to modify each speaker's time from 60 seconds to 90 seconds raised by the delegate of the United States of America. Secondly, a motion for a moderated caucus raised by the delegate of Malaysia for the purpose of discussion over economic and diplomatic issues for a total time of... Oh, Laos. Sorry, the chair's time is corrected. And each speaker's time will be 1 minute. And the final motion raised by the delegate of Philippines for the purpose of discussion over potential communiques and draft agreements for the total time of 15 minutes. And due to the rule of disruptiveness, the motion for unmoderated caucus has the most disruptiveness over the discussion of this House, and therefore this motion will be voted on first. So, Jasmine, may you please open the voting system for me? Thank you. So a motion for an unmoderated caucus for the total time of 15 minutes. And for the purpose of discussion, discussing potential communique and draft agreements. Okay, just leave it like that. So delegates, please take your time to vote. Please be noted that this is a procedural vote, meaning that every single delegate has to vote. Australia, Bangladesh, Canada, China, and these countries, please take your time and vote in the system, because this is a procedural vote, meaning every single delegate has to vote. Australia, Bangladesh, and Canada. Okay. Australia and Bangladesh. Bangladesh. Okay, no problems. I'll just help you vote. Yes or no? Yes. Okay. With 20 delegates for and 5 delegates against, this motion passes. Delegates, please be back in 15 minutes.
Delegate of Vietnam, Myanmar, and Indonesia, please come here.
Country who will stand neutral, please feel welcome to come here and discuss with us. The Philippines and Myanmar and Vietnam. Thank you.
And for delegates, may I have your attention? So to ensure that everybody has the equal rights for their own speeches, delegates, when you're not recognized on the podium, please do not use the microphones seated in these desks, okay?
So for your question, you wouldn't okay. So in order for you to gain, United States plays a very big part in security about the PCR. Also, okay, theoretically, what if we say easy opportunity national delegates? What if we were to like you still have
你们能买到的价钱会更高一点。那如果我们大家一起共同使用，大家想办法，我们把税这样子，对，然后这样变成说大家都可以享有这块地，这样不就你们就 Malaysia 或不是都可以用比较平价的方法买到石油资源，也都可以这样子。而且当我们这边有了经济成长以后，我们就不怕发生战争什么的。对，因为谁会想攻击经济特区？而且当中国他自己有东西在经济特区里面的时候，他会想攻击他们，一定不会嘛。希望我在国内进步，上次。
上一次也是在
我有喝醉，但是应该是看起来。 Australia, okay. That makes up the flag. So I believe that economics is very important. And that's a very important root to
policy and security, but we can't directly
Delegates, please be reminded that English is the one and only official language of this conference, even though we have a Chinese committee. Yeah, we have people from all the countries who couldn't speak Chinese, so please be more inclusive.
at the same time, I'd like to take a look at the guys at work and what we want to try to do.
Would you want to bond your
wouldn't really be right to say that.
Later we will ask financially
Yeah, so it's because I think you're exactly for because like Hawaii is like literally like frequently like it's part of our nation, like you guys say. And the ninth national the other day is faith policy. Oh yeah, okay, so from their perspective, it's legally the current situation. So we have to point out.
they're trying to cover
Oh, based on China. Okay, so basically it's going to be about what kind of
China, where's China?
The delegate of China, please come here. U.S. and Philippines want to talk to you.
Please don't use the microphone during a moderated talk. Thank you.
Hey, China, that's in your belly.
Like, that's so dumb.
Delegates, you have 3 minutes left. 3 minutes.
It's not just but like instead of no, like we don't like you're not like you're not supposed to conduct economic activities, but we're only talking about shit that are passive temporarily. Deliver party.
那个区域本来就是没有。
None of the countries that have too many different locals. Then they had a problem including on other different rights giving territory within the union. So they
我真的觉得你不会说我，你不会给你做这个。
should be
Delegate Almari caucus has expired. Please return to your seats. And at this time, the chair would like to delegate, please remain silent and move your way to your seats. And now delegate asking about the draft agreement. And seeing that, delegate, please return to your seat now. Delegate, please return to your seats. Delegate of Philippines and Myanmar. Can you listen up to us? We haven't checked it, but we're going to introduce Okay. Delegates, the chair seeing that there are 3 blocks, and as for the draft agreement, each block can submit their separate clauses. So the chair would highly encourage 3 blocks to work on the draft agreements, and the format for draft agreements is the same as the format of draft resolution, including the headings, preambulatory clauses, and operative clauses. Okay. As for the format of a draft agreement, you may refer to the handbook that you have with you. Okay, and so the chair will encourage you to just submit the clauses, and the chair will combine different documents into a single draft agreement. And since we're going to discuss clause by clause, so you may debate upon each clause separately. Okay, is that clear? All right. And a reminder, the deadline is tomorrow, 1:30 p.m. Now the chair will hand the microphone back to David.
Okay, are there any motions on the floor?
Motion!
Yeah, Mark, okay, sorry, I cannot hear you. Okay, are there any seconders?
Objection!
Okay, Jasmine? Suspension of meeting? And,
the delegate of Laos asked a question. So basically, she's asking, because previously there were 3 motions on Q, and the unmoderated caucus passed at last. However, delegates also please be noted, because you might also need this knowledge in the future. So whenever a motion passes in the stack of a queue, then that whole stack is then discarded. So meaning if you want that particular motion to be raised again, you will have to raise the same motion again. Thank you.
And you can work on the documents, but we are going to merge all the documents into single draft agreements. Further questions? Okay.
Suspension of the meeting. So, yeah, you can just enter the vote procedure.
Procedural voting, you have 10 seconds.
Those who feel like super energetic to finish your document can vote for negative.
Or we can just keep going with the meeting.
Let's go maximum.
Wait, I'm losing Wi-Fi.
USA?
Wi-Fi issues, hold up.
Okay, we can vote it for you.
Okay. It's a no. Okay.
USA says no. Okay.
Cool. Laos?
And,
technical problem as well? Laos? No? So those who are for this motion, 22, and those who are against, 3. So the motion passed, and we'll now suspend the meeting.
Okay, delegate, we have food provided upstairs, so you may go for drink and eat. And a reminder, for those who haven't taken picture yet, please do so, and we have a list. So your name will be heard if you haven't taken a picture. Okay. Wang Zhenwei, Wilson. Okay. Onasha. For those whose name is called, please go to the 4th floor to take a picture.
The government really wants you to take a photo.
Okay. Zheng Peishan, Doreen. Wang Weizhen. Okay. Zheng Peishan, Doreen. Zhuang Jingwei. Alright. Ma Yuxin, Annie, Ma Yuxin. Zhong Ziying.
Our committee, which is a committee that focuses a lot on your conflict between your positions. So please keep that in mind. And if you guys need any assistance, simply just ask any chairs that you see. Right. Any other questions?
Some delegates are asking whether we can make the deadline earlier so that we have more time to discuss clause by clause. So are there any delegates also have this wish to make the deadline earlier? Perhaps like 7 a.m. tomorrow or 1 a.m. tomorrow? Yes, Delegate of Vietnam. Yeah, we can start to discuss clause by clause tomorrow morning. But the downside is that you have to finish your classes by tonight or tomorrow morning. so that we have something to discuss. Okay, so any delegate have other suggestions? And the deadline will be tomorrow morning at 7 a.m. if we wish to make the deadline earlier. So we're going to vote, all right? Not using the voting system. Just raise your placards and one country, one vote. Okay? Those who want to make the deadline earlier, please raise your placards. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All right. Hold on. Those against? Okay, seeing there's more against than for, we're going to remain the status quo. Okay, yes, Philippines. So you want to persuade the House? Yeah, please make it short, right? Yeah, you may.
We are having a lot of people with different draft agreements, so we will be having a lot of clock. If we only have one session to discuss all these clocks one by one, the most likely end is that we reject all of them. So the delegate opposing here is suggesting that everyone try to draft their own tonight, and then we can discuss tomorrow for a full day, and then we can discuss on the details whether we agree or not. We will have more time for it.
Okay, Singapore. 10:30 a.m. So we will have. Okay. Would that be a acceptable option? 10:30. 10:30. So we're going to have 3 options here. All right. So we're going to vote again. First is to remain status quo, and second is to move the deadline to 7 a.m. And the third one is to move the deadline to 10:30 a.m. Okay, 10:30 a.m. Right. So each country, one vote. Those who want to remain status quo, please raise your placard. Okay. Those who want to move the deadline to 7 a.m., please raise your placard. Okay. 1, 2. All right. Those who want to move to 10:30, please raise your placard. Okay. So the deadline is officially adjusted to 10:30 a.m. tomorrow. Okay. So please just send your clauses to the chair, and the chair will merge into one draft resolution, draft agreements. Okay. Any further questions here? Yes. Yes, we do. Any other question? Okay. Now I am going to hand my microphone to Jasmine. David, is the projector working?
Yes, it is working, and we are downloading the file, so maybe you might wait for a second. Is that okay?
Downloading what?
The files on the
okay.
Google Drive.
Can we start with the roll call first?
Yeah,
and then
just go ahead.
For the projector.
Okay, the session 3 will begin now, and let's begin with the roll call. When I call your country name, please answer present. Australia. Australia is present. Bangladesh. Brunei. Brunei is present. Cambodia. Cambodia is present. Canada. Canada is present. China. China is present. DPRK. DPRK is present. European Union. European Union is present. India. India is present. Indonesia. Indonesia is present. Japan. Japan is present. Laos. Laos is present. Malaysia. Malaysia is present. Mongolia. Mongolia is present. Myanmar. Myanmar is present. New Zealand. New Zealand is present. Pakistan. Pakistan is present. Papua New Guinea. Papua New Guinea is absent. Philippines. Philippines is present. Republic of Korea. Republic of Korea is present. Russian Federation. Russian Federation is present. Singapore. Singapore is present. Sri Lanka. Sri Lanka is present. Thailand.
Present.
Thailand is present. Timor-Leste. Okay, they are absent. USA.
Present.
USA is present. Vietnam. Vietnam is present. Now we will be moving back to the general speakers list. Oh. So for the 25 present, our simple majority is 13 and our 2/3 majority is 17. So we will now move back to the general speakers list. Motion raised by Laos for the purpose of a moderated caucus for the purpose of economics and foreign policies for the total time 10 minutes and 1 minute per speaker. That is, are there any other motions? Motion raised by Cambodia. A moderated caucus for the purpose of expressing ideas for the previous Ahmad for the total time of 15 minutes. Are you raising for unmoderated caucus or a moderated caucus? Okay. 90 seconds for each speaker. Are there any other motions? Which country are you?
United States of America.
United States of America. You are motioning for?
Motion for a moderated caucus for a total time of 20 minutes and 90 seconds per speaker on the topic of Chinese historical claims on the South China Sea.
Chinese acclaim on?
Chinese historical claims on the South China Sea.
Okay, Chinese historical claim on South China Sea. So now we have three moderated caucus on the floor.
Excuse me, the motion raised by United States of America requests 90 seconds per speaker's time. Thank you.
Thank you, delegates of USA.
So now we have three moderated caucus on the floor. Is that right? We will now be voting on the moderated caucus raised by USA.
Due to the role of disruptiveness, the order of present is decided based on the time. The longer the moderated caucus, we were going to vote on that motion first.
Okay, so now we are voting on the moderator caucus raised by USA for the purpose of Chinese historical claim on South Chinese Sea. We have now 3 moderated caucus and no unmoderated caucus. Is that correct? Okay, now we will be moving on to the voting procedure. Everyone please vote on the voting system. Canada, Philippines, Philippines, Canada.
Yes, Canada. Yeah, do you want to vote yes or no?
Yes. Okay, for 12 yes and 13 no, this moderated caucus fails. So we will now vote on for the moderated caucus raised by Cambodia for the purpose of a discussion of the thoughts on the previous Ahmad for 15 minutes and 90 seconds each speaker. Thoughts on previous Ahmad. Total time 15 minutes and 19 seconds. So delegates, please vote on the voting system.
Russian Federation, USA. Is there any technical problem?
Yes.
Okay. Would you like to for or against the motion?
Yes, for.
For. Russian Federation?
For.
For. Okay, for 23 yes and 2 no's, this moderated caucus is in order. Now we will be moving on to a moderated caucus for the purpose of thoughts on previous Ahmad for 15 minutes and 90 seconds for each speaker. Are there any delegates who wish to be put on the secondary speakers list? USA. Yes, Cambodia. Yes. Yes, Cambodia will be the first speaker. Yeah. Okay, so after Cambodia, USA, Laos, Mongolia, Thailand, Vietnam, Philippines, New Zealand, and Myanmar. The chair will take these now. The delegate of Cambodia, you may have the floor now for 90 seconds.
Honorable Chair and distinguished delegates, this is the delegate of Cambodia speaking. So first of all, the delegate would like to thanks to countries of Philippines, Laos, and Brunei, and China for discussing the long-term dispute settlement with Cambodia, and we have come to a conclusion that we wanted to do economic development in South China Sea. And the foundation of it, which will be dispute settlement, and the foundation of that will be history and sovereignty. So we have thought of establishing and forming a historian and anthropologist group to really investigate into the South China Sea island disputes and sovereignty problems. And we also have delegates raising for ideas to utilize the UNCLOS policies to consult the ICJ and the four court internationally, and also with sharing resources, database club. Yeah, and we have discussed this long-term dispute settlement, and we'll write it in a working paper in further consultation. We'll next move on to the short-term discussion. So delegates who are willing to discuss the dispute settlement in the short term, please approach with us. Thank you.
Thank you, delegate. The delegate of USA, you may have the floor now. And the delegate of Laos, please be prepared.
Honorable chairs, fellow delegates, and most esteemed guests, this is the delegate of the United States of America. During the previous moderated caucus, the delegates of the United States of America have been working towards a agreeable consensus with the delegates of China, and beyond that, we have reached we have been striving towards towards agreeable terms with each other, but also we are also open to, we're attempting to be more inclusive to the entire committee, and we are open to any kinds of collaborations that stretch beyond just USA and China relationships. So that includes ASEAN countries and the European Unions and any countries that might be interested in this matter. Thank you.
Thank you, delegate. The delegate of Laos, you may have the floor.
Distinguished delegates, our bloc is focusing on regional peace and economics region that can continue even during the conflicts, but we want to urge China to reconsider what they are doing, and if any country is interested in doing this dispute peacefully, please join our blocs. And I'll yield my time back to China.
As a reminder, there are no yielding during the secondary speakers list. Is that okay?
Yes.
Okay. So thank you, delegate. The delegate of Mongolia, you may have the floor. Honorable chairs and distinguished delegates, this is Mongolia speaking. The delegates of Mongolia have heard an invitation resolution of the issue.
Therefore, the delegates of Mongolia would like to invite the delegates of Bangladesh to introduce this program in the upcoming procedure. Thank you.
Thank you, delegate. The delegate of Thailand, you may have the floor.
Honorable chairs and distinguished delegates, this is the Minister of Defense of Thailand speaking. This delegate invites all member states to facilitate the cohesiveness between regions by such as but not limited to, like by upholding confidence building measures, also known as CBMs, in order to prevent hostilities, avert escalations, reduce military tension, and build mutual trust. And so this delegate is expecting that this could be one of the solutions to the rising tensions of the military issues in the SCS and could be put into the draft agreement. Thank you.
Thank you, delegate. At this moment, are there any other delegates who wish to be put on the secondary speakers list? DPRK. Japan. Russia. USA. Okay, the chair will take these. The delegate of Vietnam, you may have the floor.
Honorable Chair and distinguished delegate, this is the delegate of Vietnam speaking. We have had some kind of parliamentary consensus with both U.S., China, Philippines, and Indonesia. They have kind of like a agreement with Vietnam. It's like the current status is like we're going to achieve is like your island now stays as your island. And we focus on the economical affairs, and we focus on the benefits and the resource distribution within this region. And the delegate should acknowledge that if China, U.S., Philippines, Vietnam, and some of the main actors, key actors within this region agrees with these clauses, and some of the partially involved or the countries does not involve that at all should all agree with these clauses. And as for the sovereignty issues, that it's not the main focus of these countries I have mentioned. Thank you.
Thank you, delegate. The delegate of Philippines, you may have the floor.
A point of inquiry.
Yes, the delegate of USA.
The delegate of USA believes that he has been recognized a second time on the secondary speakers list.
Yes, the chair thinks this is a technical problem.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, the delegate of Philippines, you may have the floor.
Right. Honorable Chair and distinguished delegate, after a moderate content, the delegate of Philippines, along with the delegate of the United States, China, Myanmar, Indonesia, Vietnam, and other countries. So we decided to already start a draft agreement, and in this draft agreement we'll be focusing on a few things. First of them is the code of conduct, which will be between China and the ASEAN countries. So we also encourage other related countries to be involved in this draft agreement. And second thing is we will be discussing the balance of freedom of navigation program. We will be helping the U.S. and China to discuss a potential solution to not escalate the tension. And lastly, we want to encourage all delegates to prevent from discussing too detailed territorial disputes because it is unsolvable, and instead we should seek for demilitarizing and we should seek for settling the dispute instead of trying to draw the borders right here. And lastly, as Philippines, we will not be discussing our island too much, but we will strongly say in our position, and we will try our best to demilitarize ourselves from the South China Sea, and that is our commitment. And we suggest all delegates to work on their own their own draft agreement if they want to, but we wish that they can cooperate with United States, China, and the Philippines. Thank you.
Thank you, Delegate. The Delegate of New Zealand, you may have the floor.
Honorable Chair and fellow delegates, it's a delegate of New Zealand speaking. It's delegate agree that the problem should be solved in a lawful and a peaceful way.
Yes, Delegate. So the Delegate of New Zealand, please speak louder so that everyone can hear you. Thank you.
It means using efficient dialogue to find a solution, not using disorder methods and spend time on useful fighting. Also, he needs any countries to collaborate on it. Thank you.
Thank you, Delegate. The Delegate of Myanmar, you may have the floor.
Honorable Chair and fellow delegates, this is the Delegate of Myanmar speaking. The Delegate of Myanmar recognized that previous ONMOD was intensive, and we appreciate the contribution of all delegations. The delegation believes that we're all aiming to the regional peace of South China Sea. However, we observe that there are multiple blocs with overlapping stands, and the delegation of Myanmar encouraged more members of each bloc to speak up and clarify their country's stances and discuss the possibility of merging. Thank you.
Thank you, Delegate. The Delegate of DPRK, you may have the floor.
Honorable Chairs and fellow delegates, this is the delegate of DPRK speaking. After discussing with many countries, this delegate is planning on forming a neutral bloc to focus on multilateral solutions on the basis of peace maintenance. And one of the current existing solutions is an emergency conflict resolving plan in order to prevent further tragedies from happening after a conflict erupts. And moreover, this delegate believes that every country should first draft their solutions with countries that share similar stance, instead of first reaching consensus with conflicted countries, or otherwise there is no need for the clause-by-clause discussion, since everyone will have all reached a consensus, which this delegate doesn't hope that will happen. Thank you.
Thank you, Delegate. The Delegate of Japan, you may have the floor.
Honorable Chairs and fellow delegates, this is the Delegate of Japan speaking. The ongoing cooperation happens between the United States, People's Republic of China, and the European Union is going smoothly and has reached a lot of agreements. And the delegate here strongly suggests that each and every single country should speak up about their policy and their circumstances, and to share their opinions on the affair and discuss the possibility of merging. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, Delegate. The Delegate of Russia, Russian Federation, you may have the floor.
Honorable Chairs and fellow delegates, this is the Delegate of Russian Federation. This delegate is thrilled to see three major opposing countries, including United States, China, and Philippines, to cooperate and merge a draft agreement. This delegate expressed his high expectations to this council. However, he wishes that the solutions could point out critical issues and accomplish fair results, instead of indefinite, vague, and considerably conservative resolutions that might not benefit them most. Thank you.
Thank you, Delegate. The Delegate of USA, you may have the floor. Yes, Delegate.
Yes, delegate. We have recognized the delegate of Cambodia on the secondary speakers list. So this is a sort of technical problem too.
Honorable chairs and fellow delegates, this is the delegate of the United States of America speaking. Firstly, the USA would like to acknowledge and appreciate the delegation of China's efforts in reaching a consensus as well as making compromises. However, this delegate perceives some complications that are not yet sorted out within this conference room. Therefore, this delegate would like to encourage all nations to express their thoughts and address the issues on the South China Sea, specifically on the floor and with the podium as a medium. Thank you.
Thank you, delegate. The delegate of Cambodia, you may have the floor.
Honorable chairs and fellow delegates, this is the delegate of Cambodia speaking. Cambodia would like to sum up the previous secondary speakers list. So the delegate disagrees with Vietnam's and Philippines' ideas, stating that sovereignty isn't the base issues of South China Sea, since sovereignty is the main issues of the South China Sea problem. Because if the sovereignty is checked and completely correct, we won't have maritime issues, we won't have development issues. So the longer term is to really solve the sovereignty about this problem. So the problem isn't the way we need to solve sovereignty, because it's not solvable. However, the approach to how to solve this sovereignty issue is how we should really face this issue to have substantial result. The delegate agrees with Democratic Republic of Korea and Russian on stating that state stands should work together and have a more exhaustive clause together. Thank you.
Thank you, delegate. This moderated caucus has expired.
Ruben, do you have anything to announce?
So I have something to announce right now.
I have a breaking news.
Hell yeah!
美国作为世界上最发达的国家、最强大的国家、唯一的超级大国，动辄制裁或者威胁要制裁，我想这并不免让人觉得非常的可悲。
Đừng có chủ quan vấn đề này, một yêu cầu Thủ tướng tất cả các đồng chí, nhất công chí là ban chỉ đạo. Các địa phương phải tuyên truyền lại trên các chế độ khác nhau một cách đầy đủ để đề cao cảnh giác. Para pedagang asongan, sopir, akademisi, guru, TNI, Polri, pengusaha, dan
Okay, delegate, please be seated. And the chair has uploaded a crisis news. And Ruben, can you get the access to the news? Okay, so I guess everyone has received this news, and the chair is going to project news and read it out. Okay, so there's a topic for this news is US.
I can do the reading.
Okay, yeah.
US and China going to war. US reaction. The United States. Sorry, wrong start. Accident in the South China Sea. On October 17th, People's Republic of China conducted a military exercise by launching anti-aircraft carrier missiles aiming at the South China Sea. Without prior warning, dozens of missiles were fired within the 12 nautical mile territorial waters of the Subi Reef, an artificial island claimed by China. Unfortunately, a missile hit a Vietnamese military vessel passing through the territorial waters of the reef, killing 24 crews on the boat. Vietnam condemned China's illegal military exercise and demanded apology and compensation, while China claimed that Vietnamese vessels illegally sailed into Chinese territorial waters without notification. United States reaction. The United States, angered by China's military exercise and shelling of a Vietnamese vessel, vowed to strengthen its military ties with its Southeast Asian allies. Trump said that he will deploy the 3 aircraft carriers into the South China Sea to conduct joint military exercises with its allies. Trump also expressed the possibility of imposing economic sanctions on China if China continues its illegal territorial claims and military aggression against the South China Sea stakeholders. Chinese response. China vehemently denied any responsibility, saying that conducting military exercises in its sovereign territories is within China's inalienable right. China further emphasizes that Vietnam's military vessels sailed into China's territorial waters, unnoticedly violating international laws. Protest in Vietnam. Thousands of people went on the street protesting China's notorious act, and they urged the government to retaliate.
Okay, now the chair will entertain a 5 minutes inter-country discussion to formulate your country's stance. And as for this crisis, the chair is looking forward to have a joint communique. Yes, Delegate Philippines. It's 12 nautical miles. Okay, so this crisis require a joint communique formulated by all member states, but not all member states. This joint communique we need every delegation to participate. Okay, and each stakeholder should thoroughly express your country's stance and how do you react or even resolve this crisis. So at this time, we're going to return back to the general speakers list, and we're going to solve this crisis first before moving back into our original topics. Okay, now I will hand my microphone back to Jasmine.
Delegates, please remain quiet. And hold on, delegate. Now we will move back to the general speakers list. Are there any motions? The Philippines raised a motion for an unmoderated caucus for the purpose of discussion of crisis, and the total time is 15 minutes. And are there any other motions or points on the floor? Seeing none. Motion raised by the United States of America for
Moderated caucus.
Please say it again.
Moderated caucus.
Moderated caucus for the purpose of
discussing and potentially condemning China's actions.
For the total time?
15 minutes.
15 minutes?
Yes.
And each speaker time?
1 minute.
1 minute. Okay. Are there any other motions? Seeing none. Motion raised by the European Union. A moderated caucus. Okay, a possible solution to this crisis. And the total time is? Okay, 15 minutes and 60 seconds. Okay, now we have 2 moderated caucus on the floor and 1 unmoderated caucus. And we will now be voting on the unmoderated caucus raised by the Philippines for the purpose of a discussion on the crisis for 15 minutes. Delegates, please vote on the voting system.
Delegate for this communique, the deadline is 5:10 p.m. 5:10 p.m. So you have approximately 15 minutes to work on it. Delegate of Bangladesh, do you need help? Do you want us to vote for you? Do you want to vote yes or no? Oh yes, okay.
The delegate of China? Yes. Okay. So the result is 15 yes and 10 no. So this moderated caucus passes, so please be back at 4:35. Now we will start the unmoderated caucus.
We have an announcement from the staff. Do we have Zhang Chengyan? Do we have a Zhang Chengyan here? Right, if Zhang Chengyan is here, please approach the podium. Thank you.
Excuse me, announcement. Is the delegates of Cambodia here? Delegates of Cambodia? Delegates of Cambodia, are you in the house? Announcement. The Dynasty would like to ask the delegates to keep in mind that the only official language used in this house is English. Please follow the rules of procedure. Thank you for your cooperation.
right? So the current status that we have a kind of like an agreement with China, which we are saying that the China declares that they will not do the kind of the shooting stuff, like the military drills involved on their artificial islands. And another thing is like if they are doing any kind of military drill, they will like warns like where they're going to make the drill, conduct the drill, or where they're going to shoot the missile. Like, because this is their national rights, they have the right to do this. But this kind of rights, they have to be like confined. They have to be regulated.
That's like asking you guys, why can't you guys do freedom of navigation?
No, it's not
Yeah, so we asked them, like, they agree, like, the Philippines suggest, the Philippines, I'll conclude, so the Philippines suggest USA, China submit a joint communique, and the content is that China will have to share their military exercises information, like if they're going to shoot missiles, they'll tell you first.
Chinese will definitely not agree on that.
Well, but they
can't make that decision.
You guys did not even speak China.
Stop. First thing is, they have military of defense right there. Okay, second thing is, it's called information sharing. That's called, for example, if you...
You're going to step into it. That's the whole point. If you have wording like here, we're going to shoot missiles.
Okay. Let me make a more clear conclusion. We just agreed with them.
We just agreed with them.
Ask your triple delegate too. Ask your triple delegate too. Yeah, I know.
But they present the state in this region, in this area.
Wait.
Well, then
You're not
China.
China.
You're not China. You're Japan.
Everybody. Okay, wait. Guys, stop.
I think China has the right to do whatever military exercise they want as long as it's in their territory.
Yeah,
that's why we're here, because of the dispute. We do not know where's whose territory. That's why Vietnam ship is sailing there and China is conducting a military exercise. So the question is, we should first, like, maybe we should make some zones or just like an area where it's safe for military exercise. So for if people are exercise, you can do it in there and no one's
May I conclude something? Okay, so after talking with China, we offered them two conditions, which they both kind of agree on. The first thing is, just like usually, if you're doing a military exercises, you will tell other countries that you're doing military exercises. It's very normal. It's just like if you're going to fly your aircraft, you will tell other countries to not fly over the area. So information sharing, so they agree. Second thing is, because artificial islands are clear, they want them to promise to prevent themselves from doing military exercises in artificial islands. They can do military exercises in their own island, but they should prevent until the artificial island is like the border is not changing. They both agree with it. So that's the two conditions. If any other delegate believe that there should be more conditions, please let us know. But we should discuss with China. Why not just come here?
The delegation of China, can you approach here? No, they have to have representatives. No, they have
I can't hear you. I can't hear four people at the same time.
Delegates, you have 2 minutes left.
In their territory.
No, I mean, to by
the problem is not how you can go out of China. I'm just saying. But it will be okay, you ask. Made a plan like this is for us to act on. They want us to solve
That is a good idea.
It means it was other so we want to. 但是如果他真的没有通知，就进攻啊！你要确定对方已经收到这个消息，然后他又坚持不给他，要我再给你然后你才可以发射，可以进攻。我觉得China is in first. They make a big mistake in the first time. They don't tell the Vietnam they just go into their ownership base. It should be the conflict between China. They should just fight and they don't talk about how. We can't,
Seconds left.
Delegates, please be seated. Delegates, please return back to your seats. Delegates, please return back to your seats, please. The delegate of USA, please return back to your seat. Thank you. Hold on, delegates. Delegates of USA, please return back to your seat. Thank you. Okay. We will now move to the general speakers list. Are there any motions on the floor? Motion, the delegate of Cambodia. Motion to extend the time of another the caucus for how many? For the time for another 15 minutes. Are there seconds? Can the chair correct it, change it to 10 minutes? Okay. So are there any seconds? Thank you, delegate. Now we will be moving on to the voting procedure for another 10 minutes extension of another the caucus. Delegates, please vote on the voting system.
If there is any technical problem, please raise your hand so that the DICE team can help you.
The delegate of China,
Indonesia and Russian Federation, you need any assistance?
the delegate of Indonesia,
In China? Yeah, so would you like to vote? Yes. Yes, okay.
Since there are 22 yes and 3 no's, this motion passes, and we will now have another 10 minutes for a moderated caucus. So please be back at 4:51. The moderated caucus starts now.
I'm also hearing that your community is amazing position. Can ASEAN nation come here? Can ASEAN nation come here? ASEAN nation. What are your thoughts about the crisis? What is your country's stand about
Sorry.
You have 25 minutes left. 25 minutes left.
Because from my research, they just built it from documents.
Well, you have 5 minutes left.
I'm so sorry about that. Because that is just
Delegates, 2 minutes left. Delegates, please return back to your seats. Delegates, please return back to your seats.
But that's only in theory, though. That's only in theory.
That's fair between the national
Delegates, please remain silent. Okay, the chair, Ruben, will now announce something.
Please give me a second. I'm currently submitting a document to the Facebook group.
Ruben, we just received another commit as well, and I already shared the link with you, so
all right.
Check it. Thank you.
So for the full document, please see to the Facebook group of the committee. So I'll be reading out the joint communiques that we have already received from delegates. First, the first joint communique is issued by the submitters of United States of America and the European Union. So it reads, the Asian Regional Forum, the delegates would like to facilitate the following goals on the response to the crisis. Clause 1, conduct defensive approaches towards China's offensive movements. Subclause 2, in response to China's claim about the justifiability for their military exercises based on its sovereignty, we hereby emphasize that there is even no evidence that can prove China has historical or legal ownership for South China Sea. Therefore, China should be the one to blame for disregarding neighboring security and freedom of navigation during its military operations. Third, strongly urges all nations to adhere to the UNCLOS and binding regulations. Clause 4, taking notice of pursuing collective interest among regions. Okay, and the next joint communique reads, which is submitted by the delegates of Thailand, Mongolia, Myanmar, DPRK, Philippines, Sri Lanka, and New Zealand. Clause 1, the construction of artificial islands should be strongly discouraged and legal terms should be settled by UN forces. No territory should be claimed by intentionally constructed artificial islands. Military operations by the USA should not intervene in the South China Sea disputes, purposely provoking China reaction at a time of crisis. Clause 3. The notification of a military conduct within a limited deadline of at least 5 days in overlapping EEZs should be made necessary in order to avoid all forms of casualties, no matter intentioned or unintentional. Unintentional that all parties are clear on the details of their exercise. Clause 4. Vietnam's response to China's military conduct should not be extended to military retaliation, as this would aggravate the crisis at issue. So these are the current communiques that have been received by the DICE team. Are there any other delegates who are currently working on other communiques but haven't yet submitted them? Please raise your hand. Okay. Please be noted that the deadline is at 5:10, so please make good use of your time. And furthermore, as a small reminder for every one of you, so when you're looking at a communique for essentially means, it feels like a public letter to the members of the House. However, as you're also governmental officials of your country, some of the contents that are included inside your communiques might be some actions that could or have already been conducted by our country. However, sometimes these communiques are not specific enough. For example, how do you define defensive? So does this mean the USA would like to continue its deployment of 3 aircraft carriers inside the South China Sea, or would the European Union also like to join in, or who's doing what? So for this part, please be specific because it's your country who is conducting, and delegates who have submitted these documents can still make modifications to them. The deadline is set to 5:10, so if you guys need to modify them, please take your time. And furthermore, if you're trying to use, for example, when we're taking a look at here, Clause 1 of the second joint communique is saying by UN forces. However, because you are not able to represent the United Nations as a whole, let alone its full member states, for this particular part, this will simply be viewed as a call out to all other member states to issue your own thoughts, but no actions will be carried out by this particular clause. Is that okay? Yes.
Can we have like a drive folder and toss all the public joint communique inside?
We'll do that tomorrow. Sorry. Because it's a little bit complicated to share the document with everyone with someone allowing to edit. So, any other questions? Right. See, now I'll yield my presiding rights back to Jasmine.
Okay. So now we will be moving back to the general speakers list. Are there any motions or points? See none. Motion raised by the Philippines. A moderated caucus. A unmoderated caucus for the purpose of modifying joint communique. And the total time is 5 minutes. Are there any other motions? Motion raised by Malaysia for a moderated caucus for the purpose of explain the okay.
May the chair shorten it to clarify maritime features in the South China Sea.
For the total time, 10 minutes, and each speaker time 1 minute. Are there any other motions? Motion raised by the United States of America.
Motion for a moderated caucus.
A moderated caucus.
Moderated.
A moderated caucus.
A moderated caucus.
Delegates, please still be reminded that you should not be using the microphones on the desk. Thank you.
For the purpose of comparing two communiques. And the total time is 15 minutes for each speaker time. 90 seconds. Okay, now are there any other motions? Seeing none, we will now vote on the moderated caucus raised by the delegate of the Philippines. For 5 minutes.
Ruben, I already created it.
Okay, so delegate, please vote on the voting system. The delegate of Laos.
Laos? No.
No. Okay. So for 11 yes and 14 no, this motion fails. So we will now move on to voting for the moderated caucus raised by USA for the total time of 15 minutes. For the purpose of comparing to communiques. Okay, so please vote on the voting system.
Canada, DPRK, India, Malaysia, Pakistan, Philippines, Republic of Korea, Singapore, and Sri Lanka.
The delegate of DPRK, do you have technical problems? Okay. So for 7 yes and 18 no's, this motion fails. So now we will vote on the other moderated caucus raised by Malaysia for the total time of 10 minutes and 1 minute each speaker. So please, again, log in the voting system to vote.
Point of inquiry.
Yes, delegate.
What's the topic of the moderated caucus again?
Clarify maritime plans in the South China Sea.
Thank you.
Cambodia, Myanmar, Tejas, Vietnam. Okay, thank you, Myanmar. Vietnam. Yeah. Oh. Okay, against.
Delegates, please be quiet. With 12 delegates yes and 13 delegates no, this motion does not pass, and we'll move back into general debate. However, due to time constraint, the chair would like to encourage a motion for suspension of the meeting. So, are there any motions on the floor? Delegate of DPRK. That is in order. Are there any seconds? Are there any objections? Seeing none, this motion passes. Thank you. And furthermore, as the deadline has already expired for the previous crisis that we have just issued to you, so the communique submitted before and also the alterations made before 10 will be the ones that we'll be taking into consideration. And so for the remaining time, I hope that you guys can pack up your bags and listen to some of my comments on your present. I'll be announcing some reminders and then I'll be commenting on some of your performances. Yes. Right, so the first announcement is that please remember to take home your badges and bring your badges tomorrow. And please leave the placard on the table. The placard is the one where you raise it to, so, never mind. Wait, please remain seated. Right. So I have some comments and some suggestions for your performances of today. So I have a very quick question for you, every one of you. So why are we here? Can anybody answer me? Like, just answer the question. Why are we here? What dispute? Why is there a dispute? So there's military reversal, and are there any others? Sovereignty dispute, any others? Yes? Resources, any others? Right, so there are disputes. So I mean, why are there disputes? Overlapping fishery zones, any others? Historical claims, any others? Lies, okay, good point. But who's the lying party? Never mind. So, the point is, as you have already read through your background guides, I assume, but I dare, so never mind. So, anyway, what I'm trying to say is, let me brief you through the issue as a whole. There are disputes in the South China Sea because there are rules, but some countries conform to the rules and some countries don't. The rules include UNCLOS or previous declarations of conduct. However, countries still do not conform to the rules, and therefore we're trying to make sure that even though without these rules, there won't be something terrible happening inside the South China Sea. Clear? Clear. And then we narrow down to the current progress. If we narrow down to the current progress, one significant current progress is the upcoming Code of Conduct that might be approaching us probably in 2021. However, apart from that, delegates can also raise other methods to help solve this issue. However, the point is, does the thing that you're trying to do help? That is the key question. So, what we have heard today throughout your discussions include a lot of people who are trying to get together and brainstorm some new ideas and come together and simply just start writing clauses and start submitting clauses. However, sometimes a lot of different approaches don't really work, and sometimes these clauses don't really have to be jointly submitted by countries, because every single country has their own position. For example, especially for Southeast Asian countries, sometimes they're close to China, sometimes they're not close to China, sometimes they're close to the US, sometimes they're not close to the US, sometimes they're close to India, sometimes they're not close to India. So the point is, it's up to every single one of you to define your own position. And keep that in mind, because even though it's still up for you to decide or define your own position, you have to still take into account the facts that are there. For example, the US's position on the South China Sea is there. China's position on the South China Sea is there. Other countries such as Philippines' position is also briefed by their national officials and other governmental officials, so that is also there. The point is for you to represent that information represent that position and bring that information into this committee. Is that clear? So the point is, it's good that you guys are working together to submit jointly submitted agreements. However, you don't really have to do that if you can't really find someone that is close to your position. And it's still more important to stick to your position than finding new allies. Because I understand that some of you might want to like make friends by compromising or stuff, but I trust that even though without you compromising, you guys can still be very good friends. But whatever. The point is, make sure that what we're doing here is accurately representing what is actually going on in the real world. That is the point. And secondly, don't overcomplicate stuff. What do I mean by this? For example, let's say if I'm representing the Philippines. The Philippines won the case against China in the Permanent Court of Arbitration. So the case they won because UNCLOS specifically points out that even though one party's denial of the trial does not prevent the other party from bringing that suit to the case, which means no country's litigation rights are deprived. In Chinese, 每个人都还是可以提诉讼，不会因为对方他不愿意跟你一起参与诉讼，你就会因为国际法庭的选择诉讼问题，所以没有办法打诉讼。所以永远都会有一个第三方可以帮你们做出仲裁，这是 UNCLOS 里面的特点。So anyway, if I were to be the Philippines, one of my final clauses would probably be something in the CLC should not include content that would limit the litigation rights of member states. That's it. There's one clause. Just write something that you want the House to gain consensus on inside the final agreement itself. And then when we move on to debate on that particular agreement, we'll go through every single one or most of your positions, and you guys can then debate on those different issues. Is that clear? Any other questions? Right, good luck for tomorrow, and make sure to bring everything you have with you, and we're now going to take the BRT. Yes. We will limit you, but don't submit any trash clauses. Just kidding.